Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bikini and the Brain. I am here with the 51-time most winningest IFBB Bikini Pro, most winningest IFBB Pro in all time. Is that even winningest? Is correct? Yeah, right.
Yes.
That's a word. Winningest. So Ashley is back. Ashley did it again.
We did it. Not
Did.
just me.
You
We
still
did
got it. You still
I
got
still
it.
got it, I guess. Yeah. How'd I do that? I don't know.
You still got it.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm happy though. It's a relief.
Yeah.
Email. But so Mile High, that's why we have the mountain range here.
Yes.
These are the trophies from the Mile High show. The previous years I've done it, but Mile High is a show that I've done every year they've offered it. And obviously this year was no different. Kind of jumped in a little bit last minute. It was a little bit of a, we didn't decide until like the day of the contract. So
yeah,
it all worked out though.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things when when she's ready, and we target certain shows, and if it's needs to go wait to the next one, there's a lot of shows to choose from. So
yes,
but Mile High is a special place for us. Obviously, that's where we started it, and yeah, it's just an awesome first way to get back. So perfect score, by the way, too.
yeah, wow. I'm so excited. This is a great start to the season. But yeah, it's just beginning. We're just beginning.
Just getting started as usual.
Getting started. I will say though, I'm not going to compete as much before the Olympia as last year, but I'm still going to compete a few times, including another time in June.
Yeah.
This month. So you'll see me back on stage soon.
Yes. And it's so it's gonna be a little bit less competing than before, but the goals are different. The goal was to get to 50 and to set that record, and we hit that milestone. So now you kind of did it. So now it's
now on to the new goal is to focus more so on the Olympia.
Yeah, which is a scary thing.
I said I was going to focus more on the Olympia, and people thought I wasn't going to compete before Olympia. I'm like, nope, I'm still competing. Yeah. Just not as much, because I do think that there's benefit to competing at least a few times for Olympia. For me anyway, it's just like getting the rust off, feeling comfortable again. Having a reference point of my shows being like, okay, I can soften up, fill out, lean out. So yeah, my last show was in like November. So November 2nd of 2024 was my last show before the Mile High. So it's been, for me, a longer off season than usual.
That's a long time. It felt like forever.
It did.
Yeah, it felt like forever. Yeah,
it did.
7 months, almost 7 months. So yeah, when you're getting back on stage, I was like, I wonder if it's going to be, rusty, if there's going to be a little bit of more nerves than normal. I know that you probably didn't feel like you didn't have any rust or anything like that, but visually I didn't see anything. I was like, oh, she looks like she just competed last week, so great work on that. Yeah,
it was very nerve-wracking. And I will say, I usually do get a little nervous before shows, but I'm also excited usually, usually it's like a little more excited than nervous, but it kind of comes hand in hand. But I will say for this show, I was more nervous. Like I was like maybe like 10% excited, 90% nervous, which is, I don't know. It was a little different for me, but it's just that first show back is always a little nerve-wracking because you have to like ask yourself, do I still got it? So yeah.
Well, we answered that question. You still got it, Ashley.
Yeah.
And that was good. There was a good level of competition. So,
oh yeah, it was a pretty good show. It was pretty good competition, pretty good size too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was probably the most competitive, or Mile High I've seen.
Yeah.
In a while.
Yeah. In a long while. So congrats to everyone who did well there. Yeah. I mean, tough competition. I think that second place girl really made a lot of improvements too. And that was not just a walk-off home run type of show. Those girls were good. Second and third place were both really competitive. So yeah, so it was one of those shows where it was like, man, this is not going to be a walk-off home run type of scenario. Everyone showed up. Everyone was good. So it was a fun way to start the year.
And we had a lot of our teammates competing too. We had a good crew with us from Team Elite Physique.
Our masters competitors got second and third.
Congrats.
So yeah. So I was happy about that. Walk away with 3 medals in the pro division is nice. So
you had a 1 and 2 and 3, although 2 and 3 is masters, but still.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Lying if I didn't say I didn't want the sweep, but but the first place in the Masters was really good. So it was definitely a fair call.
Yes, absolutely. This prep, I will say though, it was easy and also hard at the same time, because easy meaning like my body responded really well, I feel like, but hard because I wasn't able to focus as good as I usually was. I think I truly locked in like the last few weeks of prep, but that whole like 12-week span, I was like, so many distractions.
Yeah.
Nothing like major, nothing like bad or dramatic. I just couldn't lock in. Like,
Yeah.
but those last few weeks, man, I pulled it off.
You did. Yeah. You came together a lot at the end. You really brought it together at the end. And that's what we're going to talk about today is like, the prep and how it went and, scenarios that you guys can run into. So if any of this thing come up, any questions come up during this, feel free to ask them on either on Instagram or on YouTube, because some of these things are going to apply to you guys too. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So with that, we could talk about, with even the prep and like the diet and how you mix things up a little bit this time with your proteins,
I did. So how I was telling you guys, I did like a 7-month off season. I think the biggest benefit from that off season came from learning something about myself. And it's one of those things like I knew of, like if you repeat like a meal or a certain food, you become a little intolerant to it. You can get bloated, digestion issues. I knew that exists. I always hesitate to apply that to myself though, because I don't want to feel like I'm making excuse why I can't get lean or whatever. Like, oh, it's because of this and this and this, or, laundry list of reasons why I didn't make the cut or whatever. So I'm always hesitant to apply those to myself. But there's something you guys should know about me is I'm very picky eater. And I don't have many protein sources that I like meat wise. For meat, it's basically just chicken. It's chicken breast, not even dark meat chicken. It's chicken breast.
I think you're the pickiest eater.
I'm a picky eater.
Yeah.
No seafood, no turkey. Egg whites have to be muscle egg. Shout out to muscle egg / Team Elite Physique. / Team Elite Physique. But seriously though, because they have to be like flavored like a dessert for me to be able to eat even egg whites. So like that just leaves me with chicken breast. I will say though, steak sometimes I can do, but it has to be cooked like restaurant style, like perfect. I can't even pull it off. I'll do steaks sometimes, but it has to be cooked a certain way. And so yeah, I just been eating a lot of chicken, as you can imagine, throughout my preps. And during the off season, I stopped eating chicken and kind of just was eating a lot of yogurt, cottage cheese as my main like sources of protein. I was eating like most of my protein was coming from like cottage cheese. And then I would just like limit my chicken to just like one time a day and then fill it with the other protein sources like the cottage cheese I was telling you about, yogurt, the muscle egg, protein bars, whey protein, things like that. So basically, I was almost vegetarian for these last few months. Almost. I still kept like a chicken meal one time a day. But it just goes to show you that like you have these rules sometimes, like don't eat dairy when you're like 4 weeks out or something. Like you hear these things and we're just like disproving like it's all about how your body reacts to it. My body loves cottage cheese, yogurt. It seemed to do my body well. I was having less bloating, things like that. And yeah, my taste buds are happy too.
Yeah. And that's the thing is it's if you're intolerant to it, it's one thing, right? And not everyone is intolerant to that stuff, like has a lactose intolerance. Everyone's like,
Right.
oh, I have it. So cautionary route, some people, a lot of people are. So a lot of times people will cut that. But if your stomach's agreeing with it, and that's the thing is whatever you're doing, I always just say, just keep doing it. It's people at when peak week rolls around, everyone wants to just change everything and think it's this dramatic difference and things. And I'm like, no, you should already be in shape when peak week starts. It's just fine tuning. Whatever you're eating, you should just keep it in your diet if you look good. If something's causing issues, then yeah, we should change it. But if you've been doing something for 16 weeks and then the last 5 days before a show, you want to just change everything and hoping for a better result. Why weren't you doing that the last 16 weeks? Just get those results earlier. Like it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, if you're not bloated and it's helping your digestion and it's working, then yeah, don't change the protein source. Why? So this was one of those scenarios where it worked out for you. And it makes sense too that you might have had some intolerance because you do eat so much protein,
So much chicken.
so
Yeah.
much, like so much chicken. I mean, yeah, it's all you like pretty much ever ate. And then, but also just you're getting a lot more, cultured foods, a lot more, healthy bacteria from those foods that you're not getting from
Mhm.
chicken, and that could be helping with your
Yeah.
digestion too. So I always try to keep like at least one cultured food in people's meal plan if they can. Greek yogurt is usually my go-to, because it's just help. We in Western foods, we don't eat that much cultured food. Like you'll see in like Indian foods, like
Mhm.
they've got so many cultured foods that really healthy guts, So that's just something that, we could take note of, and maybe, maybe you're lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's, you could take probiotics for that on the side, but eating the food is, I think, still the best way.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say like I had problems necessarily, but it just seemed like my digestion was better. Like it was better. Like cuz I know that there are a lot of competitors that do deal with like digestion issues. I don't think I was one of them, but I just noticed just things move a lot better, and I don't know, it
Yeah.
agrees with me a little more. So, something I learned. See, look at me, I'm still learning.
Oh yeah, and it's and it's not even just you're always learning, it's you're always changing too,
Yeah.
like, now let's say you do, cottage cheese and Greek yogurt for 6 months, and then all of a sudden now your body responds better to chicken. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so it's just one of those things that no two preps will ever be exactly the same, and people don't understand that. No two peak weeks will be exactly the same, and people just don't get it. And the one thing too is that people don't understand like how minimal peak week really needs to be too. It doesn't need to be this crazy totally different thing that to get you to look right, And
Mhm.
I think people look at what bodybuilders do and they always apply that to what bikini competitors do. And it's not the same thing. It's on the same stage, but it's not, it's like it's a different sport, really. It's a lot of similarities, but a totally different and process to get there, And so with bikini and fit model, you don't need these crazy peak weeks at the end. Just gotta look right at the end. Don't have to get crazy, So
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be as extreme as people make it to be. Exactly what you said. And I think we need to remind ourselves of that, It's bikini. We don't have to do all the crazies, like, whatever works for you, but don't let people like, sway you either way. Oh, you shouldn't do that and do that. Hey, if it works for you, kind of thing. So
yeah, and I think the other thing too is don't expect a dramatic difference in result too. I think that's really important too. People will freak out during peak week thinking like all of a sudden everything's going to change and they're going to be just a totally different. I'm like, no, what you look like on like Monday of peak week, you're going to look a little better on Saturday. You're going to be a little fuller, a little rounder, maybe a little tighter. But it's not like you're just a totally different person come peak week on. And then on Friday, from Friday to Saturday morning, there's like minimal difference. So it's not like this big difference when you wake up and have to be at this super strict, 20 carbs, 50 carbs is going to make the difference between you winning or losing. It's pretty much done at that point. So Saturday, enjoy the day. Not much is going to change too much on Saturday. So just something that I think that people need to hear from, someone who's doing so well, that I can breathe a little bit. Saturday, Hayes in the barn, like Ashley says, just have fun that day, because not much is going to be, unless you mess it up on purpose. Like that'd be the only thing usually we'll do is you can mess it up, but like changing your body is not going to happen unless it's for the worse.
yeah.
Like eating too much food and drinking too much water and getting bloated in the stomach. You can mess it up, but making a big difference from morning to 12 o'clock when you're on stage, it's not that critical. So
Absolutely. And as far as my training for this prep, it was typical training, but my cardio, I think I started cardio at like 8 weeks out. And I started like with one session a week for 30 minutes, and then 2, then 3, then 4. And then when in the off season, I get to a point where I just don't do it at all. So coming off from off season, I went from 0 cardio and just kind of eased back into it. But I wasn't sprinting out the gates with an hour of cardio or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think I got to just 5 sessions a week of 30 minutes. So
yeah, it's progressive, it ramps up, and that's basically the, common scenario. Everyone's cardio pretty much ramps up as they get closer to a show. Unless, and except when she gets too lean and then she like ramps down, which now you're on cruise control for the most part. I mean, you're in, well, to tell the audience, like she checked in today and actually looks, I mean, I could say, yeah, I think she looked a little better today than even on Saturday, which was crazy. I was like, whoa, yeah, I didn't expect that. So, yeah, so it's like she's on cruise control. It's tough to get there, but once you get there, you flow,
Yes, that is one of my, I'll call them superpowers, is I'm really good at maintaining. Like once I'm there, I'm there and I'm pretty good. So I use that to my advantage.
Yeah, it is a superpower. And what's funny is like your body will like know when it's time to show up to work. You know,
Yeah.
that's the other thing that like not every time, but most times I would say, even when things might be just a little behind and all of a sudden you wake up Saturday morning and it's like your body like just hits its time card and it's like, all right, let's go to work. Let's go.
It happened last weekend. I feel like, cause I looked my best on show day, obviously, but the days leading up to show day, I was a little nervous about even my physique. I was like, oh gosh, maybe I should have came in a little leaner or, so, but it all worked out because it all came together on show day and I'm happy with the physique I brought. I thought my glutes, those are some of the best glutes I've had.
Yeah.
It was like the sweet spot, like not too lean, not too soft. It was Goldilocks for me, for my glutes. So, in bikini, having good bikini glutes, it's a science. It can't be, a lot of people get thrown off because they see tie-ins and they think lean, but in person too, the glutes will look different. Meaning when you're looking at a back shot on a photo, it's 2D, but you have to be there in person to see 3D. But no, I thought that was, it worked out well.
Yeah, it worked out well. The tie-ins were exactly where they needed to be. Not too crisp, still all the way there without being etched in. It was pretty much spot on.
Mhm.
And I don't know how the picture, I haven't seen the pictures of the show, but the lighting was a little bit up towards your guys's, like from the bottom too. There was a top lighting, of course, but then there was like bottom lighting too, which kind of, I don't know if it's going to translate to pictures how good everyone looked. Like I think it's going to wash out some of the people's
Darn
times.
it.
Yeah, so we'll see what those pictures look like.
My videos, I thought my glutes looked good though. So I was like proud of it.
Yeah, live it looked good. That light did wash the tie-ins out a little bit on some of the people, but or on everyone a little bit. But I don't know how to look in pictures. So I don't know. That's one of those ones and where I always try to do the reviews and it's tough unless you're there.
You're like, I promise it looked better.
Yeah,
in person, I was there.
And sometimes, sometimes girls will look more jacked than in the pictures than in real life. And it's
That's a thing.
Yeah. So it does help I was doing the best I can when it's in pictures. But
I want to also point that out too about girls looking more jacked. Listen, I get intimidated too. I was seeing like all these girls competing and since I haven't been on stage in 7 months, I'm like, oh gosh, I feel maybe I'm too small now. Has everyone gotten bigger and I'm just small because I haven't stood next to them? But then when I stood on stage, I'm like, oh no, I'm good. Yeah. So even I get a little bit like, oh gosh, are they bigger? Are they bigger?
Yeah, it's in the pictures sometimes it's a little crazy.
Yeah,
like the lighting and all that, they look so jacked and it's like, are they doing it again? Are they doing it again? Are they getting bigger? Because and some of you was thinking that too. I was like, are they getting bigger because fit model? Like, is that going to be a thing or is it just, and then you're like, you see them, you're like, oh no, you're good.
It's just but I think we need to all recognize that on stage on the photos is not the same as in person. And when you meet me in person, you're going to say, you're a lot smaller than I thought. Not shorter. I'm not short. I'm 5'5", so I'm average, but I'm saying tiny, like smaller. So it happens to me, and I know it happens to the amateurs. You get intimidated because you see photos online, but you won't know until you stand next to the people how big you are in comparison.
Yeah. So, what else about the show? So, we should go over the show a little bit too. How how everything went. So, they did a really good show, really good organization of the show. The judges were good. We had actually had Patrick Sampson was there, which is great. He's from Vegas and he's got, if you guys are ever, shout out to Patrick Sampson and Sampson Productions. They do a great job with their shows. If you're looking for a show to do in Vegas, usually a very well-ran show. I think it's Ace of Stage and then the Sampson Showdown, right? Ace of Stages is, So great show to do. We always have that as one of our team shows too. So they did so this, you guys know, this year they're still doing the initial comparisons and then the individuals. How did you feel in your first individual back?
I'm surprised I wasn't more rusty than I was. So usually shout out to the girls that compete once a year at the Olympia or something.
I don't know how they do it.
Or twice a year to qualify for Olympia. I don't know either because I would be so afraid of being rusty. So usually my first show back, I feel like a little, the nerves really do get to me. And sometimes I feel a little rusty. But I didn't feel quite as rusty for this show, which was surprising. I mean, it definitely wasn't my best presentation, but also not my worst. So I was like, for the first one back, I'll take it. It's acceptable.
Yeah. So they did that, did the routines, and then they did the initial call out, which you were a part of the initial first call out, which was awesome.
Yeah.
They called out a group of 5. And then one of the things I will say too that really separates people that probably you won't see it in pictures is when you're live, you can really see in the back walk when they walk you guys. That's when it's like game over for you. A lot of the times it's like, oh, Ashley's got this one. Like it's when it's the back walk is one of the things that you really have gotten better at and like really are thriving in now in that back walk. Your physique has always done good in the back walk, but now your actual walking is going really good. So congrats on that. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's something that you improved a lot and that you really have put effort into, and you could see the obvious improvement there. But where a good judge, and we had Kelly was the head judge there. He's a great judge, been around for years. It's so obvious in that part of it. When you're seeing these pictures, it's going to be a little less obvious, like why you're dominant to people who don't have the eye, like a trained eye. It's like, oh, they all look good. Why is she always so dominant? You know, like like they all look good. How's she the one, right? And then you're like, what if you know what you're looking for? That back walk is so telling because everyone can have good glutes, but keeping your glutes full in that, especially like and symmetrical in their development in that back walk shows everything. Because when you're in your back pose, you're going to adjust your back pose accordingly. So you look balanced, you look full, you look hard as you can, dense. But when you walk, there's no hiding it, you know?
Yeah.
And
you'd be surprised how many girls, like you see their pose on stage, but then you see them walking backstage and it's like, where'd the glutes go?
Yeah. The backstage bodies is a totally different thing. Right. So, but when you walk, you stay full when you're walking on your upper glutes. And that's really what separates things too, is that upper fullness of the glute. And a lot of girls will have good development on that, like lower glute, medial glute, but not that upper outer edges of the glute where everything will fall a little bit. So when you're holding that, it's like, oh yeah, it's a game over, you know? So if you're winning from the front and it's closed from the back and then you do your walk and you're holding, then it's like, okay, she's way above. And that's so that's how she ends up with like perfect scores in scenarios like this, where on pictures it'll always look a little closer till you see that in person. So that's just something that pictures just don't show. And that's something that changes a lot of these shows. So a good judge will recognize that pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And I want to talk a little bit about the calls itself, because I think we all need to hear this, because it's all about keeping your composure on the stage when you're getting moved. So for me, I was in the middle for maybe like 2 rotations, and then I got pushed to the far side. Okay. And I think that's where a lot of girls will panic and think, "Oh my God, they don't want me anymore. I'm not in the mix anymore. I got pushed to the end."
Oh, yeah,
you know? Yeah. And this has happened to me enough times to feel comfortable with it, because sometimes they're just like, okay, we're done looking at you. Now we want to see like the other girls, what they look like beside each other. Like if they already know we're done with you. So sometimes that will happen to where you think like, I was in the middle and then I ended up on the end, and you get all in your head. Listen, it can be a very telling thing, but also keep in mind that doesn't mean that you lost. It doesn't mean that you didn't like do well. It's nothing like that. Sometimes it literally is just, okay, we're done with you. So I want to remind you guys of this, to keep your composure when you're getting moved, because you might be in the middle. You might end up winning, but get pushed to the side or all around, or maybe we're never in the middle. I've seen it before too, where girls that were never in the middle still won.
Yeah.
So keep your composure on stage, guys. Keep the composure.
Yeah. And keep the smiles going.
Keep the smiles. Yes.
That's the one that I see the most, is when someone gets moved out, they drop their smile.
Yeah. They're like,
oh, I didn't win. Screw this type of attitude.
You can tell their body language and their energy is just like,
It's the body. Yeah. That's what it is more. It's like more of like a proud, I'm here to compete. And then just out of air, like frumpy, like kind of like they just lose that 10% up. And people don't think it's so obvious. It's so obvious when you're under the lights and all eyes are on you and you change just a little bit. It's so obvious to the judges. So you might be winning. So don't you might be winning the whole thing. So yeah, it was I was wondering how they were going to make that move. I was telling her, I was like, I know they have to make this move, but it's one of those moves where I'm like, there's 3 ways of doing it. And 2 of the ways are great. And one of them is like, could mess with the head, because one of the ways they could do it is they could move you into into the like a 2nd or 3rd place spot, and then move the 2nd or 3rd place girl into the middle spot and compare them. but that, like, it makes that one, throws the energy off for it makes everyone a little nervous, right? And it also puts the girl who was maybe competing for second or third, and they're really close, it actually gives her a little bit of an edge to the other judges, where she's like dead center. It's like, oh no, this is who I think is second, if they move you back, right? So that's one way of doing it, but the best way of doing it is just like put them both right next to each other and moving you out, or even just moving the winner already off stage.
Sometimes they'll do that too, guys.
Yeah.
So do they do it for amateurs? Do they send people backstage to the
Not
line?
a single. I've never seen a single for an amateur move off.
Well, sometimes
Single to the edge, yeah.
Well, have they done it with a few, like 3 people or more?
Yes, 3 people or more. Yeah, definitely. They'll send like 3 people off, or
So
even 2
that-
people I've seen send
okay.
up. I've never seen a single person sent off at an amateur.
Okay.
But I mean, they could do it if it's like a clear wipeout, you know.
Mhm.
And you'll see that happen in sometimes just when it's like a wipeout, and they'll just send the winner off. But it's like, I think it's not that they don't want to do that. I think it's more that it's like just kind of tells everyone right there who won, you know. So I think that's kind of ruins the night shift for everyone. So I guess it's bad for business, I guess, if you think about it at the end, for the surprise factor of it, right?
For the experience.
Yeah, for the fans' experience, for everyone, even for the winners' experience, because you kind of just get told right there, I think I won. So but yeah, they did it in the way where it was like the second best option there. So I was like, oh, I think we locked it up. That's great, So yeah, perfect score. So
yay.
Pretty
The
cool.
feedback was even better. I'm super stoked about the feedback. To be fair, I only got one feedback because it was like we finished way before the amateurs, and it wasn't a good opportunity to get back there. But I did get feedback from one judge, and it was just like, don't change anything. I can't find anything. And you're looking better every year. So that's like the best thing to hear.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting worse. I'm getting better. I love it.
That feedback's the best.
Yes.
The don't change anything feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always the best feedback. So,
But I am super excited about this next show coming up. And I'm not going to say what it is yet, but just know it's in June. So
there you go.
We're kind of in a little, we're just maintaining until then, I guess. And
yeah, you're
maybe
in cruise control.
Maybe a slightly bit tighter. I don't know. We'll see.
I think, no, you'll be just a hair, just a hair, but you're in that range. And that's the thing that with bikini is there's a range of conditioning that's perfect, not just a true conditioning. That's like, it's like, as soon as you're in that good range, that like acceptable, perfect range, it's just a little bit push and pull, but you're in that good range. You're at the last show. I think you're at that not even the very, like in the upper middle top of that. And now we're going to be just a little bit on the lower middle top of that leaner, on the leaner side of it. So yeah, no, you're there today. You were perfect. Like today was, you got leaner. It's over the weekend. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And the good news is too, Adam, I am Olympia qualified.
Oh, that's good.
Thank goodness.
That's good. I can usually count on you for doing that.
No, so that's a joke, because I guess when you win the Olympia, you're kind of good, qualified for life. But I also got my qualification at Kazakhstan too in
true.
November. So
that's true. So yeah, I guess you're going to Olympia this year.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Hometown and everything.
It's so great. What's crazy is my home office. I can see resorts from my home office. I can see the top of it. Yeah, so like it's like my reminder of my daily work. I'm pretty spoiled with that, right? We're pretty spoiled. We just drive down the street. Yeah. So
did we get any questions coming up while I'm just talking and talking?
Yeah, we actually had
Let's put it on.
One question here. Okay. So so this question comes in from Nicole, and her question was, sorry. You often say how the longer and harder you diet, the more muscle you sacrifice as a result in prep. But what about longer prep where you are dieting longer but are in lesser of a deficit? So when I'm mentioning that, when I'm usually mentioning that is what I'm saying is you're taking extremes to get lean, you're going to lose more muscle. That's the thing. So when I talk about people bulking and maybe they gained, you see these bikini competitors, some of these bikini competitors these days will go 40 pounds up. Like that's crazy, 40 pounds for a girl who weighs 120 on stage is, a third of their weight. Like gaining a third more than their stage weight is a lot. So that's what I'm talking about is when it gets crazy. And if someone has to lose 40 pounds to get back to stage weight, and the problem that and what I'm usually speaking of is they usually will still give themselves 16 weeks, 18 weeks. Maybe they'll be like, oh, I need to lose 40, so I'll take 20 weeks this time. Like, dude, losing 40 pounds in 20 weeks for a female, like that's 120 pounds on stage, is so much weight. We're talking 2 pounds a week. It's a crazy amount of weight to lose for someone. So when you're taking those types of extremes, that's when I'm talking about you guys losing more muscle with those more extreme diets. So in the end, what I'm worried about when I'm speaking on that is I'm worried about what's the best route of travel for the most net muscle gained, not the most muscle gained period, because there's not going to be an argument. The most muscle gained period is always going to be the bulking diet with the more calories that you're given is always going to be the better option for the maximizing the muscle growth. There's no one arguing that because you're feeding yourself, every hour. Of course, you're going to build the maximal amount of muscle growth. But what I'm worried about is the net muscle growth. That's the only thing that matters is how much muscle you have from Ashley competing on last Saturday to Ashley competing in 52 Saturdays from now on stage, not in between, not what the says on the, when we do a body fat test where it says, oh, I showed more muscle. What are you left with? That's what matters. What are you left with? So that's the biggest thing. So I try to take the path of, okay, how are we left with the most amount of muscle? In my experience, it is keeping the body fat in check, still maximizing the muscle growth, maybe only hitting 80% of the muscle growth because we're not maximizing all the calories, but we're netting like almost all the muscle that she gained. And it's also better for the skin. It's better for the mindset. You always feel confident. You feel good, and you're being a fitness, you're living the fitness life the whole year and you look like a fitness person the whole year versus, people we see that are competitors that don't even look like they ever competed in their off season. It's like, you're a fitness competitor? Like, really? Like, that's okay. Like it would be, if it shouldn't be surprised that you're a fitness competitor at any point of the year for someone who's competing in fitness. So
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So there you go. I guess there's the answer. So if you're dieting for, just minor, like basically you're asking if you're recomping essentially is what you're asking the whole year to get lean, then yeah, you're not going to lose probably any muscle if you're just recomping the whole time where you're barely in a deficit. That's going to be another way of keeping a good amount of muscle because you're not dipping into this place where your body has to sacrifice a lot of muscle. So your energy is still good for your workouts. You still have ample, and you can still do, have high calories here and there when you need to. So yeah, you're not going to lose as much, but it's the extremes is where they start losing muscle.
Yeah. So let's talk about the post show, how that went and everything. Cause I think one of the most common questions I get is, what do you eat after a show? And I'm going to tell you right now, it's nothing exciting. If you're expecting it to be like some tray of brownies and, a buffet, it's definitely not. I had Panera. I had a soup and salad combo with a baguette. Yeah. And a little bit of brisket too.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I love Panera.
Yeah. I'm glad that you talk about that because there's definitely a presumed there's like an expectation of you going ham. Yeah. It's like more strange for you to stay eating clean than it is for you to go ham. Like it's like the expectation is, you should do this. This is the norm. You should stuff your face till you feel sick and gain 10 pounds on Monday. And it's like that, the question even comes up because that's like, it's almost like a humorous celebration of you going through this hard diet where you need to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like the wrong culture to set out. It's like, no, I worked the answer should be when people ask that question, it should be, I worked my ass off to look like this. It took I lost my soul getting this lean, like it took everything to look like this. You think I'm going to mess that up for, in a day? No, I'm not going to do that. So that should be the response. But the responses you always get is like, oh, I'm going to eat a gallon of ice cream, a whole pizza to myself. Right. But it's like, no, dude, you worked so hard. Don't ruin that in a weekend. Don't lose 4 weeks in a weekend. Like it's have your little thing, have your food, but it doesn't need to be, it's just so expensive time-wise.
Yeah.
You lose so much time. Like if you're doing an hour of cardio to get lean and you're dieting for, it took 6 weeks to get that last bit off of you and you just put it back on in a weekend. Oh man, people don't think about it, but then they wake up on Monday and they're like, man, I lost 6 weeks of hour of cardio a day. It's going to take me 6 more weeks to get it back. It was a weekend. It was just a weekend like that. Gone, so I don't know. I think about the expense of time,
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes too, peer pressure can get to some competitors because maybe their friend that isn't a competitor is like, oh, but come on, like you deserve this. You earned it, like, and kind of nudge you in that way. But I found that like I'm like I want to accomplish my goals way more than I want to eat like a whole pizza. You know what I mean? So I always give the joke that like, oh, this dub tastes better than any burger and fries ever could. And not to say burger fries is bad, but I'm just saying my goals are more important to me than what something tastes like for 5 minutes. And I feel very satisfied with my Panera, okay?
Yeah.
And my little baguette and brisket.
Yeah, I think that's, and there's ways of doing these things realistically too.
And I woke up the next day feeling great. I didn't feel sluggish. I didn't feel bloated. I didn't feel like, oh my God, my food never digested, because I used to do that. Exactly what you said, like the binge after the show. I used to do that. I'm not immune to that. So I remember how that felt the day after. I was bloated, retaining water. It felt like my food just never moved at all once I ate it for like 2 days. It sucks. It's a horrible feeling. And I'm thinking most people can relate to that feeling because they've done it too. And I'm sure I know you've done
100%,
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just think about how you're going to feel the next day. And especially if you're going to compete again soon, like I am, like it's not the end of my season. It's the start of my season. I'm about to compete again. So I got to keep it safe, conservative, and my body thanks me for it. I always think of the post show rather than rewarding yourself with food. I think of it differently. I think my body worked so hard for me. Why would I want to abuse it by just giving it a bunch of crap food that I haven't had in a long time and feel like absolute crap the next day?
Yeah. We say these things to you guys because of experience. It's that like, you're hearing wisdom from years of who've gone through it. So listen to it. It's not we're just like bashing you because you're currently doing it. It's because we both have done it. Like it's never been a positive. Like I've never woke up the day after I've done it and be like, man, I really am glad I feel like crap today and bloated and gained 5 pounds. Like you don't wake up like, oh, sure was worth it.
Yeah.
That 40 minutes of eating, that sure was worth losing those 3 weeks. Like it's just not, it's never a good,
and I'm sure you have a lot of experience with clients that maybe went and did that. And then you have to correct it for the next show that might be in like 2 weeks or the next week. Then you're in a really bad position because we're like, what is water retention and what is fat? Like it's a confusing thing trying to peak back again when we rebounded a little bit.
It's a nightmare if the feedback from the judges was, oh, come in a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you're already putting yourself in a worse position. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have an athlete compete in like 2 or 3 weeks and then they'll do their show, and usually the day of the show, we don't have that much protein. So I usually tell people, go out, eat a big steak. It's fine. Try to not get a bunch of butter on it and have a potato. You could probably even have some fries that day, something like that. But then and I was like, and then, eat back to your menu plan on Sunday. You got a show in 3 weeks. So back to your menu plan and I'll adjust the menu plan. And then on Monday, check in, we'll see where you're at and we'll start again fresh. And then like, sometimes it'll be like, 120 pound bikini competitor up 7 pounds, 8 pounds from show day. And I'm like, one steak doesn't do that. Like what happened over the weekend? And then they're like, oh yeah, I gotta, I'm competing again in 2 weeks, but the judges said I should get a little bit tighter in my tie-ins. And I'm like, we have a week. Peak week is the next. Peak week doesn't count. That's the next week. So we have 7 days to lose 7 pounds plus another probably 2 pounds if the judges wanted you to be leaner. What do you think's going to happen here? Like you're going to be worse at this next show. Like you're not going to be better. You're not losing 9 pounds by then, or whatever. Obviously it's not all body fat, water retention, whatnot. So like you said, you don't know what's what. And so it's just, we're hoping to be the same at that point. Like, well, maybe if everything is just water retention, maybe a tiny bit better. But if you were, if you're thinking about that next show, it's like, no, I'm back to plan and I want to see what the judges say and be improving. If the judges say, oh, you're too hard, that's different. Go eat. Talk to me, go eat. But it's, I shouldn't be putting people on stage at this point in my career where they're too lean. Like I should be able to see that visually where I make that air maybe with some bad pictures on check-ins or something once a year or something, so it's just got to be smart with this, guys. Got to be smart.
Absolutely. So Adam, we have plans for 2025. We do. What are they?
I don't know if I'm allowed to tell them all. But I will say, there is one city I really enjoyed the berries at.
No, I can say it. I'm doing Vancouver too. That's my July show.
Okay.
Vancouver Pro Show. I already announced I'm doing Vancouver
I
Pro.
figured that one was kind of out there.
But the June show, I'm not telling until you find out. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be on the list.
It'll be on the list. It'll be on the list. I'm not telling anyone. I'm going to be sneaky. Sometimes I like to be sneaky, but sometimes I'll just say it. Like Vancouver, you guys already know I'm going to be there. I'm always there.
Yeah.
I'm always there. Like, you know, I'm going to be at
used to that
Vancouver
area.
and Mile High. They switched the area though. So no more Barrie. No more
No
berries.
way. Where is it? They did?
It's in real like downtown, I think.
Okay. Well, I remember the downtown one. You know what I will say is that Vancouver was like I guess Vegas is now my second favorite place to get sushi. Japan is my favorite. And then Vancouver was my third favorite. They had some really good sushi in Vancouver, but the last places where the berries were, they didn't have any good sushi. They didn't have any sushi anywhere. So
It's a shame.
they're so close to the water. So their fish was really good. You wouldn't know this. You wouldn't know the difference.
I wouldn't know. No seafood in
Yes.
here. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So okay. If it's more in the city, I'll be happy to get the sushi again.
Yes.
So at least there's that.
I don't know what it is about you Canadians, but you guys are so friendly and we feel the love. So that's why we keep coming back.
The
You know?
friendliest people. Yeah.
I will say, like, I do different shows for different reasons. Mile High, it's tradition, the memories. It was our first show together. But Vancouver, I do it for the people. I love it. It's not necessarily like a scenic or it's not like an experience that's different from the USA. It's not like culture shock or anything.
Yeah.
But the people there, we love you guys. You guys are awesome. We feel so welcome. So we keep coming back.
Yeah. There's just a nice vibe about people.
Nice vibe. Yeah.
Americans are a little bit rougher, right? Rougher around the edges. So yeah, I never feel like wherever I'm at in Vancouver, I kind of look around, look around where I'm at and make sure everything's good. And in Vancouver, I'm just having a good time.
Yeah. So thanks for liking us.
I wonder if
sorry about the tariffs.
I wonder if it's close to.
We didn't do it.
That's great. I wonder if it's close to West Coast Iron too. We can go back there. That was a fun. I love that gym. If it's close to that one,
you know what they have this year that's different though? They have like a meet and greet, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I'll be there.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Well, hopefully it's I like that. It'll be my fun little trip.
Yeah.
So, anyway, with that, we have anything else to go over, Ashley?
No, I think that is all for now. Just a lot of exciting things to think about for this upcoming season here. But
yeah,
we'll keep you posted with everything.
Glad you're back. It feels right.
Feels good to be back.
Feels right.
Still got it. We're back in business.
Yeah, it felt a little weird. A little too long. A little too long. A little past my normal routine,
Well, for all those people that say never take off seasons, I hope you're happy now. Okay. So
yeah.
Shush.
Yeah. So
there's your off season. So leave me alone.
Glad your first show that you came back was a good look too. You know, it's always nailing it the first time is always the hardest, because you haven't seen you. We don't know what you look like under those big stages. And it's just harder to kind of get that marker.
Yeah.
But I think this was one of your better first shows back,
I want to say it was probably my best.
I think so, actually.
Because I'm thinking back at my previous first shows back. Last year was a girl power. I came in a little too soft for that. I still won, but I could have been more conditioned. I will be honest. Then the previous year, I think was the Arnold, and I came in too lean for that. And then the year before that, what was my first show? I can't remember.
I don't remember, but I know 2018, you came in a little too lean.
Yeah.
That was a very first show back. We overshot by a little bit.
My first show back's never the best.
Yeah, it's hard to get that marker exactly right,
Yes.
So this one was pretty good.
Pretty good for a first one. No complaints on my end. There's definitely things I can improve on for next time, and I will. And I'm wearing a different suit color too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad I got that out of the way. It's a big weight lifted off my shoulders. Because I always worry, like, okay, taking a little time off. When I come back, hopefully I look better, or at least not worse.
Yeah.
And I didn't look worse, so that's good.
I think 1 pound would have been spot on, like perfect for what you have.
You mean pound more or less?
Less.
Yeah.
1 pound would have been like
I can do that in the next
perfect.
few weeks.
No, yeah. And then as the season progresses, you'll get a little fuller, a little denser. As you get you ramp up your workout intensity towards the Olympia and whatnot. But yeah, I think as of now, 1 pound would have been like 100%, for now. So I think that's pretty good. It's pretty solid.
We
Yeah,
can do that for next time.
Oh, yeah.
1 pound.
It's already done. You already did it. It's
Yeah, I think I did.
you came in today and showed your check and you already did it. So it's like it's cruise control now.
Mhm.
So unless something happens, which
Maybe maybe my body will cooperate so much I won't have to do much cardio, hopefully.
Yeah, as long as you don't slip and Oreos fall down your throat.
Oh,
You see those Instagram
Oh,
videos where
yeah,
they slip
yeah.
and like the Oreos roll?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess with that, guys, that is it. Congrats again,
Thank you,
Ashley.
and congrats to you too,
Yeah.
Adam. You did pretty good for yourself, I'd say.
Yeah, 51,
Oh yeah,
Ashley.
we won 51 shows here. Yeah.
Jeez, that's so crazy.
I know, because like when I first turned pro, I just wanted to win one, and I thought like that would be it. That would be the pinnacle, just to win one pro show to make it to Olympia once. And I did that 51 times. Jeez.
Crazy. Yeah. And it's really nice that they give you that love too. Like Sarah, the announcer
that
there,
was so nice.
you know, because it is, I know.
How do you guys keep track of this? I don't know, but I'm impressed.
Yeah. They didn't ask me. They just
They didn't
know.
ask me either.
Yeah. They just know. And it's cool because we're in it. And so we don't realize how, like, what's going, like, I don't know, I don't think you do either. Like, cause we're in it. And so it's just like, we're moving. But if I was visually, like, cause I'm a fan of the sport. So if I was visually watching someone doing something crazy like you're doing, I would be like, you sit outside of it. I'm like, that's really crazy what you're doing.
It is crazy.
Like,
and I would never recommend this to anyone.
No, I'd be like, how does that girl keep doing this? This is nuts. Like, it would be like, it's cool because every time it's history, you know, and I'm like a big bodybuilding buff, you know, like Venice Beach guy. Like, I love this stuff. Right. And so watching what you're doing to me is so cool to watch it. But you know, I hope to sit outside of it one day and like appreciate how crazy it was, because we're just in it. We're just like, no, we got to compete. We got to do this. We got to, you know, whatever. And so you can't sit outside of it, you know, but it is pretty cool. You know, I try to like sit outside of it, but it's pretty cool what you're doing. I got to admit, it is history. It is pretty amazing.
Coolest. Like, I never thought I would make it this far. I'm just a girl from Akron, Ohio. I have exceeded every single expectation of myself and then some by a mile. Miles upon miles. Yeah. So I keep doing it, and I'm like shocked myself. I'm like, I don't know. I just keep going with it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So, well,
cooking while the pot is hot.
Yeah, your pot has been hot. For
we're
a minute.
boiling over here.
Your water's evaporated, bro. There's no water left. All right, guys, we'll talk to you next time.